Now, before I get too far away from the subject of variables and scope and all that, like I've been doing in the past few videos in this section on essentials, I want to talk about constants, because in the video on understanding scope, I kind of mentioned this little can of worms, a southern technical term there, about how based on where we create this variable, we can kind of create situations for ourselves. Because if I declare x at the class level, it means that any of my, in this instance, two methods can use x, which also means one of these could change the value of it, and then I could be in trouble because I use it in this one thinking that it's a different value than what it is. Well, there is a standard thing that's been out there in programming languages for ages and ages. It goes all the way back to some of the earliest programming you've ever done, and that is a constant. Now, a constant is where we can create a variable that is basically read-only. We can't change it once it's been created. And how do we do that? Okay, if I wanted to create this variable and make it a constant, I just simply put const in front of it. And so what's going to happen now, that constant variable x is now loaded with 55 when this begins to run, when the program starts, and it cannot be changed while the program's executing. Now, there's another thing that I want to point out here, and let's say that we had called this constant or this variable when we first did it. Let's say we called it X-ray. It's kind of standard nomenclature here amongst developers that your variables are all lowercase. But when we do a constant, we set the first one in uppercase. So anytime you see a variable that has an uppercase first letter, that should be a constant. Now, so let me point out one other thing that a lot of people will do. If this was just going to be a variable, I would set it like this. The first letter, if this was just going to be a standard variable, first letter would be small and any additional words would be uppercase, and this is called camel case. But that makes it very easy when you're looking at a particular variable to know what kind of variable you're dealing with. So if we're using constant X-ray, all right, and I'm going to now come back and correct these. Now if we run this, everything's going to be cool. Okay, everything works. Our constant loads up. But now let's say that down here in mark test, we try to set X-ray equal to 6. And I try to run this. It's going to give me an error, and it's going to say, wait a minute, dude. The left-hand side of this has to be a variable, a property, or an index. This is kind of a roundabout way of saying this is a constant. This has got to be something that can be set, and dude, this can't be set. So make sure that you understand what you would use a constant for. Okay, set this so that it's something you're going to declare. Now keep in mind, you're going to have to use that to declare variables that number one are not going to be changed as the program runs. But think about this. Say for a financial program, this is the interest rate that gets loaded during the constructor phase here, or we pass it in and load it with the constructor. But this is something that needs to stay the same throughout the program and not surprise us. So a lot of tricks you can do with these. Go out and look at constants, go out and Google it, look at the documentation, get all kind of cool ideas for using these things. And that's pretty much it with constants. Make sure you use these things when you need those variables to stick and not be changed accidentally in your program and introduce some of those irritating errors that take entire afternoons to go chase down and weed out.